world that run different variations of race cars doing that.
Jake Finch lines up downstairs. He'll lead the charge on the bottom side of the racetrack.
Side by side, they come into turn number one. Top five, maybe 6 cars able to break away from the rest of the field by 2 or 3 car lengths. But now the gap begins to diminish as the rest of the pack reels them in. Front of the pack, it is once again Jake Finch in the lead.
Jake Finch got a great run out of turn number 2. Compliments of Andres Perez. Now they will break away. Here's Greg Van Alst. He is the first car on the outside of Gustine in a side-by-side battle for third.
They close in on Andres Perez into turn number 3. Van Alst starting to slip back a little bit. Outside lane a little disorganized. Strength in numbers down low.
Well, you got Greg Van Alst out there. You just want to use him and ride him on.
Restart. Obviously, he's fallen back to the tail end of the top 5 or even just outside it. But you've got the idea that he's going to rally the troops in that outside lane. He begins to do so now as they work off 2.
Yeah, he's starting to get a little more drafting help topside. That should help that outside line get back closer to the front. Now, here's Van Alst in a side-by-side battle with Tim Richmond for 5th.
They close in on Andy Jane Koyak, who has recovered from that melee early in the race that he was involved in, and now running inside the top 5. He's the last car in the single file.
Jan Koyak was a lap down earlier in the race. Run here in the late stages.
Andy out there bouncing back from some adversity. As you guys mentioned, he's going to run the first 7 and see where he stands from there. Right now, he's solidly in 4th.
And right now, he is on the bottom of the racetrack in that 4th position. Front 5 have broken away now. Tim Richmond will join that lead draft as they are side-by-side for 6th. Here comes Sean Core powering to the inside.
He got a big shot courtesy of Willie Mullins. One car out of shape on the apron. A miraculous save, and somehow everybody avoided the kill Lannister car, and he was able to stay and keep going.
So far here tonight, the Florida native, Andres Perez, Andy Jan Koyak, and Tim Richmond. That's your top 5.
So we go under the green flag as a nice save was made by car 68, Gilles Linster. After getting turned sideways by the 44 of Thomas Annunziata, we keep it green with now 29 laps to go at the start-finish line. A little bit of damage to one car that has just spun. It looks like that is the 12 machine of Ryan Rubin.
Here the season opener for the ARCA Menard Series. Impressive run to lead him around. Andres Perez, who was too young to race this race a year ago, making his debut here in Daytona, having a solid run running in the 2nd position.
That has damage.
Trouble behind him. One car slides down to the inside lane of the racetrack. It's Willie Mullins. Sparks flew. Green flag remains out. An unbelievable save by the driver.
We stay under the green flag.
We saw Kyle Busch several years ago have a similar play in the 18 car when he was driving for Jurgen Racing. A save for Willie Mullins here in turns 3 and 4. Look at the sparks flying from that car. the center section completely off the ground, and he was able to rope it back in and continue on. He stayed out on the racetrack.
As a result of these two spins, 6 cars that lead the field. Then it's another 10 NASCAR TV. Brian Huff in the 36, Lamar Scott, Thomas Annunziato, 2.
It's really the first time all evening long that the two packs have been separated. 4 cars at the head of the field running single file. We take a look at that second pack in line. They start to dance, bob, and weave down the back position. They race into the banking in turns 3 and 4. Everybody getting a little bit antsy as they try to track down that lead pack.
And the reason why Joe just touched on it, second to the outside of Sean Corr. That is the side-by-side. Here comes Lamar Scott, car number 6 downstairs.
The battle just outside the top 5. The stretch here in Daytona. Outside lane with momentum. The inside lane, Sean Corr is there. Armani Williams, though, starting to backpedal a little bit as a group gathers up, running 2 by 2. That allows the top 4 to be able to extend the race lead.
Greg Van Alst is also there, car 35. Steve Lewis Jr., he was one of the cars involved in an earlier wreck, but he is still... Those 4 tucked up nose to tail, single file. That second pack of those leaders down, but there is still about a 5 or 6 car length gap between the first lead pack and the second.
Group has got to get single file. Williams was able to bring that group together, but since they've come together, they're stuck side by side. Tim Richmond leading that second group in the 27. He was out in the front row here tonight. Trouble though in turn 3 is Sean Corr. Corr has gone around. He spins sideways down through the grass. Caution flag is out.
Sean Corr gets spun around and brings out the caution flag for the 6th time tonight. On his Chevrolet, it will slow us down now with 24 laps left in the 200.
That'll certainly stack it all up after things had settled there for a moment, but a pretty wild chain of events. Here's a look on NASCAR TV, watching the black and yellow number 8 for Sean Corr. You saw it dip down below the line and then a bit of smoke coming out of it even before the car was really by the fact that he dropped that window net so very quickly without even trying to drive the car away. I wonder if it started going away mechanically. But now he's able to drive the car away here. He got it out of the grass, so interesting.
Yeah, Sean Corr is actually going to drive that car back to the garage area. So he is, or actually back to pit road, I should say. So he's going to drive that car back to the pits. Some assistance with his crew. Watching what happens to car number 8, Sean Corr. Loses the car really all by himself on the corner entry. The sparks coming out of the back of the car before it even starts to spin. Gets down on the apron, and you know, sometimes, Joe, when you get down on the apron like that, the apron doesn't have as much grip as the racing surface. You clip that the wrong way, and that can cause your car to break loose, lose traction. It was a mechanical problem that caused him to also snap around, but it did look like he touched and he clipped that apron as he was going into the corner, and sometimes that's enough to snap these cars sideways. Sean is now in his pit box, and the crew is looking things over right now. on pit road.
All the tires are up. I thought I saw one of the crew members indicate we're done. You know, there's not a lot of urgency down there with the 18. They haven't gone over pit wall to be able to change tires on it. And it was interesting that Sean Corr had dropped the window net soon after the incident, as if he knew something was wrong, and those sparks coming out of the car before it spun is indicative of maybe something suspension-wise or mechanical failed on that 8 car. And Sean Corr, his night tonight in Daytona, comes to a conclusion.
Caution flag for the spin, and I believe it was because of a mechanical issue, because there was a lot of fluid coming out from the bottom of that race car when he brought it back to pit lane and has parked it and gotten out of the race car there in the pit box. So tough break for Sean Corr, Jeff, a driver that took his turn at the front of the field earlier.
Yeah, finished third here last year. Solid run today, did lead a lap, but he was also inside the top 5 for virtually the entire run until something happened.
Leading the most laps of anybody, 41 laps led here tonight for Jake Finch. Next in line in the back is pole winner Willie Mullins. He's only led 9 laps compared to Finch's 41. So Jake Finch has been impressive. A quick study, getting around the Daytona International Speedway, learning how to draft. He's been mixed up and shuffled out of line. He's been able to work his way back to the front as well. So a fantastic effort for Jake Finch so far.
How about Armani Williams? We haven't talked a lot about him. He is having a very good, we got to say it right now, a very good morning. We left nighttime a while back here on the East Coast. Armani Williams right now running in position number 6. More on him in just a moment. It's Jake Finch, Andres Perez, Gus Dean, Andy Jankoliak, and Tim Richmond. And Tim Richmond has been inside the top 5 almost the entire event. And then you get back to Armani Williams. Sean Corr, just a moment ago, brought out the caution flag, and now he's with Kim Coon.
Yeah, and outside of his car, right next to his pit box, done for the day. What happened out there?
Well, I did happen to notice a spark there coming down. I looked up in my mirror and saw that, so I was like, I think that might have been off of me. So I don't know if we lost the line there or something, but it wouldn't start over there. Then when the safety team walked over there, got to thank them for coming to check on me. But then she fired up right then, so I tried to drive it around, but we're leaking too much oil to continue for today.
That's Sean Corr.
Sean Corr, tough break for Sean. He led a lap earlier in the race. He's been in the top 10 virtually all night long.
We were talking about Armani Williams just a moment ago, who has made 7 starts in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He has yet to have a top 20 finish in that, but having a good run here tonight. And again, he goes back to, that's what it's all about. A driver hometown in Detroit, Michigan, growing up saying, I want to become a race car driver.
And Armani Williams is much more than that as well. He's the first NASCAR driver openly diagnosed on the autism spectrum. And he's been able to overcome that and deal with it and work with it and compete at a high level of NASCAR racing, running here in Daytona inside the top 10 right now in the Armani Series. It truly is an outstanding feat right now. Armani Williams, one of 5 African-American drivers who's made starts in the National Series for NASCAR here recently, along with Bubba Wallace, Jesse Iuji, and Blake Lothian have made starts as well. So it really is a truly heartwarming story. But when you put a helmet on and grab a steering wheel and grab a gear shift and stomp down on the gas pedal, Armani Williams is a race car driver, and he's here to try to win this race at Daytona here tonight.
He made a start at Phoenix back in 2020. He made a start at Michigan the same year. He finished 17th at Phoenix, finished 10th, his only top 10. He's only got 2 starts, this being start number 3. And obviously, it's better than any of the other ones right now, running in the top 10 in position number 6. So again, it's Jake Finch, Andres Perez, Gus Dean. Gus Dean has been a driver that we've talked about. He's been quiet. He has been a major drive for somebody to get to the front. That car is strong. He's third. We'll see what he can do when we go back under the green flag, and that should be in just a few moments.
Hey, that was in finger, wasn't it?
So we remain under the caution flag with 21 laps to go. Still clean up the incident that occurred over there in turn 3 involving Sean Corr. Field continuing to follow the pace car right now. Jake Finch still scored as the race leader. He has been dominant tonight. The son of the legendary Carl James Finch.
Less than 20 laps to go here at Daytona. Be 19 laps to go at the start-finish line, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you here at Daytona International Speedway, watching the Hard Rock Bet 200 at the World Center of Racing. The ARCA Menards Series driver is about to put on a show to close out this 200 race.
Green flag in the air, and quickly getting away is Jake Finch. He'll take the bottom of the racetrack with drafting help from his Venturini Motorsports teammate Gus Dean. Oh, a big bobble by Andres Perez. He gathers it back up, but it'll cost him third place.
Meanwhile, LeVar Scott tried to flex some muscle on that restart, but he fades now back to position number 3, back to position number 4. He's on the outside on the comeback trail. He's alongside Tim Richmond.
Back into turn number 3 now. Perez continues to march forward, leading the outside lane. Andy Jankowiak there as well. Tim Richmond third in line behind the 2 Venturini cars.
Thunder up off of turn number 4. One car gets loose. Connects him. Broke loose was Michael Maples. More cars begin to spin.
Charging through the tri-oval as some of those cars were spinning, and contact made, collecting another 2, 3, 4 cars. Willie Mullins involved, Scott Melton involved, others that Mr. Wade Road, Tanner Gray, either took evasive action or he was involved. It all broke out coming off turn number 4. It looked like it might be kept to a small 2-car situation, but it didn't end that way, Alex.
No, it did not. It was the car of Michael Maples that got out of shape. Whether he had help or not, it remains to be seen by virtue of a replay coming up off turn number 4. But he came down, spun to the inside, corrected, then overcorrected. The tires bent the racetrack, and then he collected the machine of Scott Melton and sent Melton up into the outside wall. Hard impact for Scott Melton. He came back down the racetrack, and Willie Mullins, pole sitter, nowhere to go, and absolutely tattooed that race car. And Willie Mullins' machine completely used up the front. Looks like both front tires of the engine have been shut back to the firewall. Hard
So we go back into the caution flag. This would be caution flag number 7 for those of you keeping track at home. We work under the caution flag at lap 64 of 80.
So under the caution flag, the safety team is on hand attending to Willie Mullins and Scott Melton that had pretty hard crashes coming off of turn number 4. So the safety team is on the scene attending to both drivers as we're under caution for the second time. Sign as we can see up here in the NASCAR public address booth that Willie Mullins is climbing out of that car after a hard hit, slamming into Scott Melton there. You see on NASCAR TV, those two cars came together. So Willie Mullins has climbed out of the car. He is okay. That is a good sign. Let's go back to the Motor Racing Network.
Jake Finch working at the front of the field, but he's doing so at 70 miles an hour as we work under the caution flag. The pace speed here at Daytona, 70. Gustine is second. Tim Richmond, Andres Perez, LeVar Scott. And again, we work under the caution flag. Back with more in a moment from Daytona International Speedway. This is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Red flag has been brought out here at Daytona. Again, Willie Mullins has climbed out of his car. Safety team also attending to Scott Melton. Those two cars had pretty significant contact coming off of turn number 4. So we sit under the red flag, 17 laps to go. Jake Finch is the leader. This is the replay just a moment ago of Willie Mullins climbing out of that car. He was the pole sitter to start tonight. Unfortunately, his night ends early. So Willie Mullins will now get evaluated at the Infield Care Center, just like all the drivers do when they get involved in a crash.
It didn't look like it.
But good to see him climb out of that car. Willie, the driver from Fredericksburg, Virginia.
See how it is. I mean, it's not.
Big day for him today, earning that first career pole in the ARCA Menard Series, and it ends with such heartbreak and disappointment for Willie Mullins. But a tough hit. We'll rejoin the Motor Racing Network.
We have gone under the red flag here as we welcome you back, 12:52 Eastern Time in the morning. Glad to have you with us. For those of you that are hanging with us, either in the morning on the east, or some of you that are late night working towards the west, Alex Hayden. Again, for those of you wondering, and yes, we're live if you're just now tuning us in, this was an event that was supposed to go tomorrow or today in the east at 1:30, but we do have a forecast that is not favorable, and the ARCA officials elected to move this event up to and following tonight's NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race that ran earlier this evening. So all we're trying to do now is wrap it up, and we've got, what, 17 laps in which to do that?
Yeah, we do, but there's an awful lot of cleanup that needs to take place from this multi-car crash. Again, all drivers got out of their cars down here after the hard crash. We can tell you Scott Melton was not happy with Willie Mullins. Melton had some words with Mullen down there. They were both about to climb into the back of the same ambulance to ride to the Infield Care Center. I think the officials down there did a nice job of saying, you know what, we better separate these guys and put them in different trucks to go to the care center. But Scott Melton, who got clipped by no fault of his own, it looked like Michael Maples just simply lost the back of the car off turn number 4 and spun and collected the car of Scott Melton. He went back across the track, hit the outside safer barrier a ton, and spun 2 or 3 times. And then here came Willie Mullins at full speed and absolutely drilled the Melton car.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it
made
looked like
much
it looked
worse.
like
So,
the 3
again, all
just drove
drivers
into
out of the
him on
car under
purpose.
their own power.
Insurance agent
I mean, I
back
know,
up
but
in
like,
the state of Michigan, Rockford, Michigan, for Scott Melton. And as that car leaves the property, headed back to the garage, my guess is, and I think you would agree, looking down at it, it's junk. An unfortunate situation for Scott Melton, who had a good run going. Everything was clean on that race car, and now more than likely they'll load it on the transporter, take it back home, and probably, Alex, just cut it up, because it does not look like it's going to make another race.
No, that one's used up fairly well. A lot of cleanup taking place, a lot of speedy dry being put down through turn number 4, the short straightaway, and onto the pit lane. So we sit under the red flag.
So red flag still is out here at Daytona. You see all the cleanup ongoing, a lot of speedy dry, which is basically high-speed kitty litter that you will put on the racetrack to clean up and absorb a lot of the fluid and oil that comes out of some of these race cars in the event of such a crash that we just had.
They went into him.
Yeah,
Car's been cleared from the scene of the accident, and right now we sit under the red flag with 17 laps to go. Just recapping the top 5, you've got Jake Finch, who is the current leader. Then you have Gus Dean second, Tim Richmond third, Andres Perez is fourth, and LeVar Scott is the top 5.
Attrition really beginning to take its toll here on this 40-car starting field in the season opener for the ARCA Menard Series. We'll give you the rundown of the drivers who will not be around for the checkered flag in just a moment. From Daytona International Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
How many left? 10? 12?
Probably about 20.
Don't look it.
Well, you got to think there's about 6 or 7 cars that don't even stay in the pack, so.
Well, them done come back out.
deputy dry off the racing surface. A couple of cars being attended to on pit road for service. Shane Van Gisbergen, who was involved in that big crash back on lap number 3. They took that car back to the garage area. They made repairs to it. They sent Shane back out on the racetrack. He has since been involved in another accident, so they are just continuing to try to patch up that car as best they can for the V8 Australian Supercar
It don't really matter because whenever the car's all bunched up, so like if something's over there, I'm gonna be looking over there, so it's gonna be like this. And if there's a car down here, I'm gonna be looking down, so it's gonna be this.
They're also working on the left side.
We documented Shane Van Gisbergen and his car going back to the garage area to get repairs. One of the important factors of that we haven't touched on is he's running the NASCAR Xfinity Series season, and he has to be qualified to be able to run the Super Speedway to get that lot of experience at. That's why the team is making the effort to do as many laps as possible, so that way he can get that pass to be able to run the NASCAR Xfinity Series event later on this weekend. Because Shane Van Gisbergen practiced earlier and did something like yesterday when we were on the racetrack. So he got a feel for what he has as far as the Super Series car and setup is concerned. But as you mentioned, Joe, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience on the super speedways. So any laps that they can run, even if it's in a partially damaged race car, is better than no laps at all. So that has been the effort really tonight for Shane Van Gisbergen. It used to be when the ARCA Menard Series race was the week prior to the Daytona 500. You know, this race was scheduled to be run after the Truck Series race here tomorrow. But because of that, we used to use the ARCA Menard Series race to qualify for the Truck Series. But now the schedule will be a little different. That's not the case. And so that's kind of the situation with Shane Van Gisbergen at Daytona. You know, race fans, you are the troopers. Hardcore race fans here tonight in Daytona. We cannot thank you enough. It is 1 a.m. in the morning, and you are all still here watching the second half of our doubleheader. NASCAR on track earlier today with the Craftsman Truck Series. Now the ARCA Menard Series. Thank you so very much for sticking with us. We hope you enjoyed this doubleheader here tonight. Trying to get the show in tonight, knowing the weather in the morning may be a little challenging. We appreciate you for coming out and sticking with us here tonight at the World Center of Racing.
Sweeper trucks have made a couple of passes down pit road. A lot of fluid was dumped, not only on pit road, but also in the beginning portions of the trial where that accident occurred involving Willie Mullins and Scott Melton. Michael Maples also was part of the crash, but they are doing a marvelous job of trying to clean that up as best they can. I mentioned Jake Finch is still the race leader. How about Gus Dean, who right now is running in the second position? Of course, Gus is driving for Venturi Motorsports, the same team that Jake Finch, the race leader, drives for. Gus is a two-time ARCA Menard Series winner. He's from Bluffton, South Carolina. And he's a driver that has looked pretty stout so far tonight. He had a little contact earlier in the race where he and Tony Breidinger got together. That's what initially set off that multi-car crash in turn 1 back on lap 3. But other than that, Gus has been able to drive a very nice race. He's got a fast race car, and he right now is right behind his teammate in the second position.
Could be a big night for Venturini Motorsports as they go for their 100th win in ARCA competition, and they have won 5 of the last 6 events here in Daytona, with last year going to Greg Van Alst was the one that they missed. So that Venturini number 55, obviously Jake Finch with the 20 car has been strong all day as well, and so a couple of drivers trying to grab that 100th victory for Venturini Motorsports. The field rolling up off turn number 4. Caution flag remains out. The safety vehicles now just cleaning up some of the area down here on pit lane. Make sure that the racetrack is race ready. We'll take another pass along the skid pad here in turn 4. We see that has been an action spot all evening long, and make sure the track is ready and has all the grip possible before we go back under the green flag here in the final few laps of the Hard Rock Ventura.
Tonight, but they have continued to fight as the night has gone along. Jake Krowiak inside of the top 5 in car 73. Of course, Andy J from Tonawanda, New York. He recently, last month, won the Gamblers Classic, which is an indoor auto race in the Indoor Auto Racing Championship Series that takes place in Atlantic City every year. It was the 4th win for Andy Jankowiak in that series, which is pretty cool. You know, we don't talk a whole lot about racing indoors. It's certainly not something that is all that common, but there is a series in the Northeast, in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and upstate New York, the Indoor Auto Racing Championship Series. Andy Jankowiak, one of the drivers, one of the many drivers that runs in that division, and he was the race winner last month in the famous Gamblers Classic at Atlantic City at the famous Boardwalk Hall. So he's already got a win to start 2024 in racing. He's hoping to maybe get a win in the Upland Series tonight.
Yeah, he's a bit of a legend up in that part of the country, and certainly has quite the name. Very popular driver up in the Northeast, into New York area, and it hasn't been a smooth day for the driver, the number 73, Andy Jankowiak. Earlier today, they had an electrical issue. They were able to get the last qualifying spot in the field started, go back to 40th position here tonight, and he's been able to roll his way forward with an opportunity to win, being positioned inside the top 5. So Andy Jankowiak finding a way to get it done, and that's a team, independent team, and somehow, some way, they were able to get to this level in the Arkham Menard Series, and it's just done by blood, sweat, tears, and just pure determination for Andy Jankowiak and that entire 73 team.
Running 6th right now, LeVar Scott in car number 6. Very talented young driver, sticking with the New Jersey team here, by the way. Farmington, New Jersey is the hometown for LeVar. He took his 4th in this race last year. He was very effective in 2022. He was 13th in this race a year ago. Was in position to win the race towards the end. He, however, is 4th in Upland Series competition in 2024 to run the Upland Series East last year.
He earned every bit of it, and great shot to you, Robert Hoff. Certainly improved that quite a bit. LeVar Scott running the 6th car in the 6th position is going to be very, very fun to watch, as is, Andres Perez, and that's the car that he drove in this race last year. And we talked about how Andres Perez is not old enough to compete here at Daytona. He turned 18 until after this race, so LeVar Scott moved a strong run a year ago. Another solid day, clean day so far over at Daytona. And tonight, we can see a very important thing, because so much is out of your control when you're racing in the capital of Daytona. Next up, we've got a couple of cars coming down pit road. Joe Linster is on pit road. Tanner Gray back on pit lane as well. The 22 car of Amber Bulk is coming in for service here in the late going. As we've got the opportunity to get another round of pit stops, clear some of that sheet metal away from the tires, and make sure that these cars are ready as they point closer towards the finish.
A lot of the safety crews have cleaned up. A lot of that speedy dry and the oil and debris and everything else that was dropped over here at the exit of turn number 4. They've done a marvelous job cleaning all that up. They are now making their way off of the racing surface so we can go back under the green flag shortly. See those teams that Joe mentioned on pit road, pushing their cars out of their pit boxes, giving their drivers a couple of final adjustments, making sure that they are good to go for the remaining 14 laps of the Hard Rock Bet 200. This is going to set up a very interesting restart, because I mentioned you have those 2 Venturini cars of Jake Finch and Gus Dean that have pretty much been inseparable tonight. On the front row, you have Andres Perez 3rd, Andy Jankowiak 4th. Don't forget about Tim Richmond. He's right inside the top 5. He runs 4th right now on the track. And then you have drivers like Armani Williams, Greg Van All, Steve Lewis Jr. These are all drivers that are inside of the top 10 right now. Anything can happen in Daytona.
Alex Hayden said it earlier, Greg Van Alst has a very fast race car. Defending race winner of that number 35 machine will restart in the 8th position. It looks as though all the safety and the track services vehicles have cleared the skid pad over here just off turn number 4, keeping an eye on the flag stand to see if they will administer the 1 to go signal this time through as the field rolls down the main straightaway towards the tri-oval. And there it is, the 1 to go signal.
At least 2 more yellows. I'm surprised the rain ain't got here yet.
Well, nothing like a Saturday morning shootout here in Daytona as we get ready to go. 12 laps to go. You've stuck it out, race fans. It's time to finish it off here tonight. The Hard Rock Bet 200, a pair of Veteran Motorsports Toyotas on the front row. Gus Dean in the 55 will line up to the bottom. Jake Finch has had one of the dominant cars all evening long. He'll be on the outside fences.
Finch will go to the lead, and now Gus Dean will pull up onto his back bumper, and he'll try and draft away from the field. Andres Perez is next in line. He runs the bottom of the racetrack. Here they come. Top 3, all single file.
Now it breaks into double wide racing for the third spot on back. LeVar Scott now will race up to the outside. Everybody jostling for real estate. Andy Jankowiak darting in line right there, stacking up from fourth on back.
Inside lane getting lined up. There's about 7 cars in that inside lane, only 5 in the outside lane. Make it 8 as Marco Andretti joins the fray on the bottom.
Gonna watch now LeVar Scott and Greg the outside of the racetrack.
Yeah, they've got some work to do, though. They are no better than side by side for 7th place right now. LeVar Scott trying to lead the high line.
And that double wide action is 4 rows deep, allowing the front to get away. Up front, Jake Finch, Gus Dean, and also Andres Perez. They're the top 3 in 3.
Behind him, Andy Jankowiak is in the mix as well, as they all race single file 1 through 7 around the bottom, and then they're 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, 4 rows deep behind.
That single file line is going to go a little quicker than the 2 by 2.
Describing is about 5 car lengths behind the leaders that are in single file formation. That front 6-pack starting to get away just a tad. Right now led by Jake Finch.
They work back into turn number 3, and it's Gus Dean there in that 2nd spot. Andres Perez still rides in 3rd, and they're starting to pull away from that gap of 8 cars behind them.
Andy Jankowiak running 4th on Monty Williams.
Exactly what he's doing on the Daytona Super Stretch. They make their way down the back straightaway to turn number 3. They're starting to tiptoe away as that pack that was double wide starts to single out.
They are finally starting to get organized, and at the very back, there's still 2 cars that are back there running side by side. It's Ray Van Olsen and Christian Rose at the back of this group.
time now out of turn number 2. The front 6 that double wide pack we described a moment ago, except at the very back, one side-by-side battle. Everybody else is in single file formation.
And it didn't take long. Once that second group got organized in single file, they ran down this group of lead 5 or 6 cars in a hurry. It's about a 12-car freight train now off course.
Annunziata is the one that
Congratulations, you caught one. That 7-car grab, trying to lead that second group.
Heads have prevailed because no one is getting out of line. Everybody is content to ride except Annunziata, who quickly got back in line.
You did Steve Lewis a tap, who got up on the back bumper of Armani Williams, getting a little bit squirrely there from 5th on back. Everybody rights the ship and keeps going, and it's now a group of about 10 nose to tail.
Steve Lewis again.
Back to single file racing again. Top 9 on the
Coil now, Armani Williams towards the tail end of this pack in solid formation. Stacked up behind Jake Fitch, who leads the field back off the end of the back straightaway.
Gus Dean rides in the 2nd spot. Andres Perez de Lara is 3rd. Armani Williams, Steve Lewis, Thomas Annunziata, Marco Andretti, and Lamar Scott at the back.
all pinned on the bottom of the racetrack.
Now is not the time. Top 9 have broken away from the remainder of the field. It's a good 2 to 3 seconds back to Greg Van Alst in that second grab.
Just snuck a peek, but quickly got back in line as the leaders now up front begin to separate company in pack number 2.
Marco and LeVar Scott, because of that move Marco made, lost a little bit of time. It's about 2 car lengths or so back to those 2 as they
Something went wrong on that machine. He got up and into the wall. The car burst into flames down into the infield draft. Oh, that's Marco Andretti's car. Andretti got up and hard into the outside wall. May have put a tire down, may have had an engine problem. The car rolls to a stop down in the infield. The flames have extinguished themselves. Safety crews immediately on the scene with Marco Andretti.
And Marco Andretti hopped out of that race car under his own power, flames out, caution out, and that changes everything. You're in control, everybody behind you, and now you'll have one more time. Boy, we are watching. Side of the engine, and that will cause it to burst into flames. 175 at the end of the front straightaway, and all of a sudden you've got a failure. Up the track you go in a hurry.
That is a sinking feeling to win the closing laps and have a problem like that put you out of the race. But again, race car under his own power. A good showing from Marco here tonight at Daytona. Kept the nose clean of the race car, had a good solid run, found himself in the lead track. Coming down to it with just 3 laps to go.
Well, but Jake Finch is going to win his first career ever victory. He's going to have to fight off a number of drivers now. We'll have a double file restart to close this thing out here tonight at Daytona.
So a hard hit into the outside wall for Marco Andretti. He did climb out of that car. Now the safety team, along with the emergency medical services staff here at Daytona International Speedway, will try to figure out how to get that car removed from the infield grass in turn number 1 so we can go back to racing. 77 laps down, 3 laps to go. Gus Dean, we're looking at him on X1 TV. He is second, right behind his teammate Jake Finch. Andres Perez is third, Andy Jankowiak fourth, and Armani Williams runs fifth. But as Jeff Striegel mentioned, there will be a double file restart upcoming, and this will be very interesting to see how this will play out. Jake Finch was in a pretty good position with his teammate right behind him.
Nose to tail as teammates, and we'll see if they can work a strategy that allows those Venturini Motorsports teams